The Dershow.
What is appalling is my friend Hillary Clinton, who I've known for years and years and years, and MSNBC comparing this rally in Madison Square Garden to the Nazi rally of 1939, which featured Nazis, real Nazis, doing Heil Hitler salutes, wearing swastikas, calling for the end of Jews. 1939, that was after Kristallnacht. We all knew what the Nazis were about. The Holocaust hadn't yet begun, but the shootings had begun. Jews had already been killed, probably 1 million of them, of the 6 million, were already dead in 1939. And these Nazis were parading down the street I live on. It's called York Avenue. Yorkville was Germantown. And 20,000 Nazis filled the stadium praising Hitler. That's not what happened last night. And shame on you, Hillary, and shame on you, MSNBC. MSNBC actually interspliced recordings of the Nazi 1939 event with the event of yesterday to create an impression, as if the only events that ever occurred in Madison Square Garden were the Hitler 1939 and this last night. Bill Clinton was nominated in Madison Square Garden. John Kennedy spoke there. I've spoken in Madison Square Garden. I spoke at the City University Baruch School graduation. Every performer has spoken and performed in Madison Square Garden. Don't make those analogies. And calling Donald Trump Hitler and calling people who attended the rally last night Nazis is a form of Holocaust denial. What it basically says is Holocaust wasn't so bad. It was just like, the event of last night. It was people telling bad jokes, springtime for Hitler. No, the Holocaust wasn't about jokes. It wasn't about stereotypes. It was about putting babies in gas chambers and killing 1 million of them and killing 6 million innocent Jews who weren't even involved in the war, just taking them out and putting them in gas chambers. But when you compare Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler, what you're saying is there were no gas chambers, there were no shooting squads, there was no Holocaust, there were no killings. The Holocaust was, a leader making speeches that you don't like. I don't like a lot of what Donald Trump says. I didn't like his ban on people from some countries that were majority Muslim countries. It wasn't a Muslim ban, but it was wrong in my view, and I criticized it then. I didn't like what Tucker Carlson said. I didn't like what so many other people said yesterday. But boy, that's a far cry from saying the people who listened, even the people who applauded, even the people who uttered those words are Nazis. No, they're not Nazis. Nazis are unique. And you just can't go around calling people Nazis and Hitler without diminishing what actually happened between 1941, particularly, and 1944-45. That was the height of the genocide. And you can't call what Israel is doing genocide without becoming a Holocaust denier either. Israel is acting in self-defense and killing as few civilians as possible, saving as many as possible, sending them to hospitals and curing them, including Sinwar, who was treated by an Israeli doctor and saved. That's not what happens in a genocide. And so we just have to watch our language. I'm not talking about political correctness. I'm just talking about common sense and historical accuracy. The Holocaust was unique. Nazism was unique. Hitler was unique. Let's not trivialize the uniqueness of those horrors that are incomparable to anything that's happening today. Now, I've used one analogy, and I'm proud of the analogy I used. I have called the young people, 19, 20, 21-year-old students at Harvard and at other universities who are blocking Jewish students from going to class and who are calling Jews genocidal and trying to harass them and prevent them from getting an education. I've compared them to the Hitler Youth of the early 1930s, way before the Holocaust, talking about 1933, 1934, before Jews were being killed. What I compared him to was people who were supporters of Nazism and anti-Semites and people who attacked Jews and wouldn't allow them to go to class. That's an appropriate comparison. But to compare them to the ultimate Hitler, the Hitler of 1944 and 1945, or to the Nazis of 1941 through 3, 4, 5, is ridiculous. People know so little about history. The other thing they complained about was somebody said that he heard him say that he wished he had Hitler's generals. First of all, I doubt that Trump ever said that. Second of all, you don't want Hitler's generals. Hitler's generals try to kill Hitler. Hitler had to kill some of his generals, including some of the best generals. The generals were soldiers. Some of them were quite good. Rommel, you know how he ended up. And so people just throw around words like that. They have no idea of historical context or historical meaning.